Listen,
Godzilla
if anybody in the Reject Nation wants to do a Kickstarter program to make a Ch.U.D movie, if I say let's make a Ch.U.D movie, a bunch of people are going to say, yeah, he's right, let's do that. I'll start the Kickstarter thing and whatever, and GoFundMe page for...
I'll put it at the very beginning of this video then. just so I think people actually watch that moment.
Long
or so far, yeah. No,
you think people will drop off? You don't think I'm entertaining enough?
You're very entertaining. You should. I don't know why you're not doing more acting. Do you ever just look at your IMDb
all the time?
Do you ever just go, wow, look at all I've accomplished?
This will get cut out. There it is.
I'm only keeping the dead space in this video. All right, Nerd Chronic.
It's gonna be exciting. There's not much dead space.
Not much. We kept this going. We kept this going.
I don't want to see any of this on the cutting room floor because I think it's all gold. I'm on a roll.
Hey guys, so I started editing this video from 2 a.m. till about 7:17 a.m. I've had so much fun editing this video. This is an interview with Oscar-winning makeup artist Joel Harlow, makeup artist, makeup effects designer, the department head. He's worked with some of the biggest directors in Hollywood today, like Christopher Nolan, J.J. Abrams, Ryan Coogler. Just a few of his credits include Logan, Black Panther, the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, the most recent Hellboy, the upcoming Godzilla King of Monsters. There's a whole lot we talk about in this interview, and it's honestly just so much fun. We talked for well over an hour. I trimmed it down to just my favorite parts. Even if you're not really into listening to makeup effects talk, it's not only that we do here. It's just a really fun conversation, a lot of laughs to be had, and a lot of really cool insight. Wish I could just keep the whole thing in here, but of course I'm gonna tighten it up. I wanted to thank a man named Luis Lopez because we recorded this with the new mics we bought so we could have better audio, but for some reason my mic's input volume was insanely high, so it sounded very blown out, and Luis Lopez managed to fix the thing that everyone else said was impossible to fix. So thank you, Lewis, for that. Got that hook up through our friend Eric, Nerd Chronic. And the other thing is I put out on our community page that I'm going to be having Joel Harlow come on the channel to submit some questions, so he does answer some of your guys' questions really in depth. I'd love if you guys could share this. This one means a lot to me. And overall, I hope you all enjoy. You have a good day.
Hello there, Reject Nation. My name is Greg Alba. With me, I have Joel Harlow. I'm laughing right now because I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of boxes the day I decided to bring Joel over.
To help you move.
To help me move.
Brought me over to help you move.
Yeah, I want to come on and promote it. Talk about Hellboy or whatever. I just need help moving, Joel.
Hey, after this, why don't you help me to the van with some of these boxes?
Fine. If you guys don't know Joel Harlow, he is a makeup effects artist. What are all the titles you have?
Yeah, makeup artist, makeup effects designer, makeup designer, department head, blah, blah, blah.
And you were the main one for those?
Von Krupp.
Gotcha. Okay. That's right. I did catch your little cameo in Hellboy.
My parents didn't.
I went to my girlfriend living like, that's Joel right there.
I didn't have a line.
You did have a line.
I called my folks to see what they thought of the movie. They're like, you had a line?
He's worked on so many films. Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. You worked with Johnny Depp quite a bit.
Yep.
Black Panther, main makeup artist there.
Yeah, department head of that.
Hellboy, the most recent one, obviously. I'm just looking at it. All the Star Trek films. You won an Oscar for the first Star Trek movie.
Yeah, the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek.
Which was a great speech you gave, by the way. I watched the video before you came over. Wonderful words of wisdom you had up there.
You talk amongst yourselves, like the people that are nominated. You talk amongst yourselves. You decide who's going to actually speak because they give you when you go to the Academy lunch and they're like, okay, we want to make this as interesting and as quick as possible.
Right.
So that people don't tune out in the middle of it. We decided that Mindy, who was the department head on the film, would do the speaking.
Are you sure you weren't really upset that you didn't get to speak at the Oscars? Because that would make for some great clickbait right now.
Yes, I was. But, knock on wood, at some point maybe get that opportunity again.
Yeah, I mean, you've been nominated a few more times since then. But more importantly, you are now in Greg's 2-bedroom apartment on the YouTube channel, The Real Rejects.
Yep.
So I think it's about time you call mom and dad and tell
This
them
is the one to watch.
I finally made it in Hollywood. That weird dream I had when I was a kid.
Yep.
I finally made it here.
There's a gift bag I get to take when I leave here that is filled with what, like half-eaten pizza and
Just whatever giveaways I didn't want.
flat soda. You're gonna edit this part out.
Oh
right?
no!
We're gonna bag it on your
Only
pizza.
only the parts that make you look bad. I'm gonna keep in here.
So the parts that make you look bad, you're gonna keep in.
Yeah, whatever just balances it out, you know. So I know Joel through his stepdaughter Ashley, who I've been friends with for like I don't know. I've known her since I was like 14 years old. We've talked quite a bit. We've had a lot of long conversations back and forth, and yet I felt weirdly nervous about having you come on, but.
Today?
Yeah, but then
Is it because of the boxes?
It's well, you're Joel Harlow, man. And then I decided to look up your interviews on YouTube. I was like, oh, your only highest viewed interview is 1.6K views. So
Is that good?
That's good. But I think if I can beat that, then
let's
you'll be
do it.
sending me a thank you
let's
after
do it.
this
Yeah.
message.
I mean, we should acknowledge that I know John from way back on
The
from
Blumhouse project.
with Scott Ian's Blood and Guts with the Fishman thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you guys Snapchat each other back
He's
and
over
forth a
there.
lot. Right now we have a bunch of fan questions. I put out a post saying I have Joel coming on. Whoever has questions, go ahead, submit some questions here. So it's going to be a variety, me asking some questions, and then going to what you guys wanted to ask Joel yourself. So my first question for Joel: has anyone ever told you that you could be the third brother to the Will Ferrell, Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers duo?
No, this is the first time.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah.
That's why I came over here.
Yeah. Like, we can talk about Hellboy, whatever.
No, that's good.
That's good.
What
That's
else
good.
you got?
I don't know. I'm sweating. I just got out of the shower and all the water's leaking on my forehead right now. So Hellboy just came out, and I did want to ask. I know that when that first trailer debuted, there was a big backlash that happened in terms of the makeup, actually. And you and I talked
Right.
back and forth. That can't be too much of a optimistic feeling to have. Right. But funny enough, with the film coming out, the most common thing I'm hearing from all across the board, even with critics who I know that didn't necessarily recommend the movie, a lot of them are still saying the practical effects and the makeup are great in the film. So how does that make you feel after the first trailer comes out and this happens?
When the first trailer come out, I think that when you make a movie like this, when you embark on this path that isn't but is following in the footsteps of two beautiful films that came before it, Guillermo Del Toro's films. I mean, all of Guillermo's films are beautiful. You know that you're going to be up against it. You're going to take a lot of heat. There are those fans that are, fiercely loyal to those films.
Of course.
Fiercely loyal to Ron Perlman, who is an amazing actor as Hellboy. Honestly, I'm one of those guys.
Was it hard getting that out of your head when you were adapting this?
I mean, it is. It's like, I'd look to those films and that work, many times throughout my career and, just really admired, the artistry that went into not only the makeups, but the films themselves. So, you're going to be up against it. But
of course.
I think that, wisely, all of us in the shop, when we took this on, made a conscious effort not to reference those films. They are beautiful in their own right. They stand alone.
Very Del Toro.
Very Del Toro. And, I'm a huge fan. This wasn't one of those films. This is a different film. And the way that we kind of approached it was that it was sort of an 80s monster movie. It was guys in makeups, guys in suits, really just beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah, that definitely communicates.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and then so like when the first trailer came out, it didn't really convey the movie that I know that we made, which was, pretty hard R.
Right.
It was it was a violent monster brawl, and it didn't really convey that. So I don't think that it gave the viewers a lot to go on other than a comparison to the other movies. And if they're comparing the other movies, then obviously they're comparing, our two Hellboys. I think in time it will become its own sort of cult classic.
Yeah, I kind of view it as sort of like Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Because there was like Evil Dead 1 and 2 and Army of Darkness. And then I also kind of think of, there's been several adaptations of the Marvel character, the Punisher. And this is kind of like the Punisher Warzone, the second one that came out. Yeah. Like that's sort of what I view this one could actually have in terms of a following over time. It's a fun movie.
And if you go to this film, go in, with an 80s sensibility.
Ready to
80s
unplug.
R-rated
Yeah.
sensibility. Before everything kind of got watered down by the the censors, and this is
Right, right.
it's like go to your video store, pick up a videotape, pop it in, and like watch some like gory effects and guys in suits back when things were done primarily practical.
Right, right.
And there wasn't a lot of digital. This, however, has both. I mean, it does have a lot of digital. Some sequences better than others, but all in all, it's a fun damn movie. It's good if this is your kind of movie. It's not a critic's movie. It's an audience movie for sure.
And I feel like that's where a lot of the support has been coming in. That's why in my review I specifically pointed out on Rotten Tomatoes that it was fresh on the audience score.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
to me it's kind of more worrisome when the critic score is high but the audience score is low. But when the audience score is high, you're like, that's actually a better sign. There's more people chiming in to vote there.
I mean, and I've worked on films that have been panned by critics before.
Which film? This is what I want to ask. Which film that was panned by critics do you personally think is like a great movie?
Lone Ranger.
Lone Ranger.
Hands down, Lone Ranger, I think, is a beautiful friggin' movie.
Tarantino actually put that on one of his top 10 movies of that year.
The critics were out to get it from day one. And you know what Zukowski says about critics? Critics are parasites who absolutely know nothing about art. I've got that quote on my phone.
But when critics like your movie, are you happy?
You know what? Still, I mean, you can't really, if you're going to let somebody else tell you what you're going to think, fucking grow a pair, man, and
Hell
just
yeah.
make up your own friggin' mind. Quit being a friggin' sheep and make up your own mind. Make up your own mind. Go, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. But nowadays, everybody's a critic, because of social media. Anybody can jump online and say, this
A lot of
looks
Twitter
like
critics out there,
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Yeah, don't watch my reviews either, guys. Except for Greg Alba. Just watch mine. Nobody cares what you have to say, Greg.
The Reject Nation. Was that too harsh?
No, that was great.
Is that one of those things you're going to edit out later?
I'm just going to put it in. I'm going to edit it in my own way.
Yeah, I mean,
Selective quotes.
It is nice, though, that when critics, when critics do like your film, because, ultimately what it means is that more of the general audience will go to see it, because I guess there are a lot of people that they have their certain critics that they follow,
Sure.
and if this guy likes this or this girl likes this, then that's my sensibility, so I'll go see whatever they say. All I'm saying is just make up your own mind.
Is there a director you really would like to work with? I'm going off the top of my head here because you showed up early, which threw off my whole game. Everyone's always
showed
late.
up like 5 minutes early.
You showed up 9 minutes early today.
You were getting out of the shower.
I was getting out.
Take an earlier shower.
I worked out. I meditated. I'm like, I'm going to be mentally prepared for Joel today. And I'm like,
over there watching TV. I didn't care anymore.
For directors you worked with, you worked on Inception, right?
Yep.
Inception. So you worked with Nolan, Gore Verbinski. It's too many directors to count right now. Is there a specific director that you would absolutely love to work with? I know Del Toro seems to have a very specific crew he works with.
Yeah, unfortunately for me.
That's the one?
Guillermo Del Toro, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, he's a huge fan of this channel.
Is
Yeah.
he?
Oh yeah, he loves reaction channels.
Oh,
so,
really?
oh yeah,
Oh,
so
I
he's
mean,
he's gonna watch it. I
mean,
don't know if Joel is
he's
yes
a
anding.
Lovecraft film. There's a documentary called Lovecraft: Fear of the Unknown, which he's prominently featured in. Whenever I sit down to sculpt something, and I sculpt a lot of Lovecraft-inspired pieces for myself, I'll put on that documentary and just listen to him talk about, his views on Lovecraft and his interpretation of Lovecraft.
You still listen to like for myself, like I like to write and everything, so I'll sometimes like just listen to Tarantino while I'm cleaning or something like that. So you'll still do that even while you're creating. Like listen to other artists speak and stuff like that.
And I'll also put on, a lot of books on tape, primarily, Lovecraft stories that I'll play.
Awesome. You've gone so far in this business, and you're constantly, like, for this year alone, you have Hellboy that just came out, Godzilla King of Monsters.
Yep.
Which looks fucking awesome.
It does.
That looks
doesn't it?
fucking
Oh my God.
great. And what was that exact thing you did on there? Because I know you don't do CGI.
I was the makeup department head.
So you still work on the monster designs and stuff?
No.
No.
On that one, I didn't. Which, for me was a drag because I'd been a Godzilla fan, since I was a kid. Ever since my dad took me, one of the first movies I remember seeing, we saw a double feature in Pueblo, Colorado. And the first film, actually, they're my two biggest inspirations, Godzilla and Lovecraft. The first film was Die Monster Die, Boris Karloff film.
Okay.
AIP, that was based on the color out of space, Lovecraft story, followed by Destroy All Monsters.
Wow.
Which is Godzilla and, Ghidorah. And
Wow.
all the guys.
And now you're going to work on Godzilla King of
exactly.
Monsters.
The drag was is that Godzilla, Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, none of those guys were on set.
That's true. That is the difference. They don't have a guy in a suit.
It's like, when do they come to set? I mean, they're on the call sheet.
So if you were to venture off into directing and you were to take on a Godzilla film, would you bring it back to dudes in suits?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, you look at the Roland Emmerich Godzilla.
Yes.
Patrick Tatopoulos designed Godzilla, who a lot of people have problems with. But again, if you take it as its own movie, you know, and maybe, you know, take the Godzilla name out of it, it becomes less of a problem. But the cool thing about that is they built like whatever it was, a quarter scale Godzilla.
Yeah.
They built a city. They
Remember that behind the scenes, yeah.
You know, they built guys. There was guys in suits, insert pieces. You know, it's like with animatronics being what they are now, I think it would be really cool to see a Godzilla movie done that way, rather than just, okay, let's just, you know, the monsters are all going to be digital.
But it still looks great.
It does. It looks amazing. Ultimately, if the story's good enough, it's going to suck you in. Doesn't matter.
True.
Because of what I do, I prefer practical, you know, and I think that, you know, it'd be cool to make a Godzilla suit or Mecha Godzilla suit or whatever. I mean, I sculpted one when I was a kid, but I lost it in the Northridge earthquake.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
right?
sorry.
Yeah, I had a whole head going, and it was neat.
Is there a comic book movie you would love to? Actually, I remember when I stopped by your shop, I was trying to get a sense for his lifestyle when he's not working, and then I realized all he ever does is create. They're just like, I'm like, do you meditate or anything? You're like, no, I just keep creating.
Well, I mean, that is kind of meditation.
That is your version of meditation. That's your some therapeutic type of treatment for it. It's like you have a way of making your money doing this, but then you also still hone in on that passion and fun. You were showing me that you were working on some design from just the Judge Dredd comic books, and your fascination, if I'm not mistaken, you're fascinated with anatomy and fish. They're like the two main. Yeah.
Going back to, you were asking if there was a comic book,
Yeah.
you know, character or a comic book movie?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been made twice. The Judge Dredd has been made twice. Once not so great, but had some really cool stuff in it, like the Angel Family. I'm talking about the Stallone version. The Angel Family was amazing. Mean Machine, beautiful.
Oh yeah. The cannibals, right?
Yeah, exactly. Then Dredd. You know, with Carl Urban playing Judge Dredd, who I think did an incredible job. Never took the helmet off, which is what you want in your Judge Dredd.
That was his choice, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And the movie itself, that's one of those that I'll also put on and just listen
Underrated. Should have been a bigger box office hit.
Yeah. And then we could maybe get a sequel where we would be introduced to the Dark Judges, Judge Death, Fear, Mortis, and Fire.
I think I told you this, actually. I think it would be cool if you did the Attack on Titan designs.
That would be cool.
Because they're doing a live action one. And I think,
Are they?
Yeah.
Still? Because I know they did one. They did a live
for
action.
Japan they did, but in the States, I think is the director of It, Andy Muschietti.
Oh, he's brilliant.
I think he's doing. And Andy Muschietti is a big fan of this channel,
brilliant.
just like Guillermo Del Toro.
Really? Is he?
Are you? I can't tell if you're being sincere or yes-anding me here. No, he's no. I don't think anyone. I'm always surprised when someone, even for like people who worked on Hellboy who commented on our trailer reaction. I was like, oh wow, you know, I'm always blown away when someone from the studio notices or a director notices.
Neil Blomkamp, District 9 follows this channel.
Neil Blomkamp.
Ah, he's brilliant.
You should work with Neil Blomkamp.
No doubt.
Do you have that power? Can you just go, I want to work with this guy. Let me go there. Yeah.
No. It's usually those guys have to go, let's, you know.
Okay.
It's usually
the reverse.
Let's get a bunch of guys to bid on something, and then, you know, whichever designs we like the best and come in the cheapest, then we'll go with that guy. But occasionally, I mean, I do have friends who are directors, producers who are friends, a variety of folks that, you know, when they get something that involves work, you know, the kind of work that I do, that they'll, you know, 9 times out of 10, they'll bring me in on that. And of course, I'm enormously grateful.
To zoom in on that. right.
Enormously.
Those Will Ferrell, Chad Smith eyes right there. Well, let's get to those fan questions. John, do you have any selected? Nerd Chronic's named Eric. He's a great editor, this guy. Follow his YouTube channel, actually. Logan. You didn't see the black and white version, did you?
No, I didn't. No.
It's so much better. I don't like seeing the makeup in colors. It just ruins the film for me when it's in colors. Yeah. No, I prefer the colors. James Mangold said he prefers the colors too. Logan takes a more grounded approach to the comic book genre. What challenges or opportunities arose when working on a project that require more subtlety and realism than its sister films? Cool question.
Anytime you do something, I mean, comic book or not, or not, that replicates reality, it's infinitely more difficult and more challenging than, say a fantasy film. Because on a fantasy film, if you're creating a fantasy character, it's like you've got a lot of leeway there. Because, say you're doing an alien, whatever, Star Trek alien. Nobody's ever seen that alien before. So you've got a lot of room to maneuver. But if you're doing something realistic, people have seen that. So say you're doing an old age makeup. People see, old people all the time, so that kind of work becomes more challenging because you're replicating, real life characters or real life looks.
It's actually less of a challenge to create something completely sci-fi, completely out of this world than it is to replicate, let's say, like what they did with Christian Bale and Vice or something.
It's a different kind of challenge.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's less of a challenge. I mean, certainly on Hellboy there were
that looked easy.
Many challenges, a lot of different challenges. When you're creating a fantasy character, you want it to look real. You want the audience to believe it as that character. But if you have to put a wrinkle somewhere, you want to change bone structure, you can do that because it is a fantasy character. Reality is much less forgiving. I wouldn't say it's more challenging. Let's just say it's much less forgiving because it is so commonplace.
Of course.
So if you're, like Black Mass, Whitey Bulger character, that
which you did
on Johnny Depp. That was a subtle makeup. It was basically a forehead piece that came up to the crown that had punched hair in it, punched eyebrows, and that
looked pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, and we were replicating a version of a real person. We weren't going one-to-one likeness, but we were hitting sort of the notes of the likeness so that there was enough there for you to buy into. I mean, a lot of people didn't know who James Whitey Bulger was. Everyday folks might not know what he looks like. So
he was my role model.
Doing a one-to-one likeness wasn't necessary, but having those sort of notes of the likeness was.
Johnny Depp does seem like one of those guys who does he have a lot of say in what goes on with the makeup?
100%.
Because you guys have collaborated so often, and he seems like he really rolls with the body language.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy, and he knows how to use the tricks of the business, whether it's makeup, hair, props, wardrobe, environment.
Does he like come to you and say, "This is what I want"? Because there are movies where you weren't the makeup artist for it, but you were just his makeup artist. According to your IMDb, that's what it reads as to me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, he had sketched out sometimes what.
He sketches it out himself. Oh wow, yeah.
No, I mean he knows the language of makeup.
Is that often with other actors, or is that that's very rare?
No,
wow,
very rare.
Oh, that's really cool.
Rare. Yeah, no, he has got a full knowledge of all the elements that it takes to create a character, and he uses them beautifully in coordination with each other.
Nice.
To create a character that's believable.
As he as beautiful in real life as he looks on camera.
Yeah, I mean he's got the biggest heart in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I have $5, Joel? You seem like you're doing really well right now. Yeah. That's how I transition from one question to the next. No. I'm helping you out right now.
I get paid for helping you move.
Yeah, of course. $20 for 4 hours.
That was just one question.
That was one question that we rambled off on. J. Scott-for-real. What emerging tech is he? He is capital H, meaning Joel, excited to experiment with and incorporate into your next project. What are you're currently working on? Jungle Cruise is the one, right?
Yeah. We're doing some additional photography. It's a film that we shot primarily last year.
Okay.
We're doing some, as you always do, when you shoot one of these big films, is you come back for reshoots, there's a rough cut and you come back and
whenever the media outlets hear there's a reshoot, that means the film's in trouble.
No, not at all.
That's how media always interprets it.
It's
No,
gonna be
every
amazing.
movie goes to reshoots.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
But yeah, what emerging tech is it? Is there something you can think of?
No, I mean, there's nothing really I can think of because, all the materials and techniques that we use, fortunately, I work with an amazing group of artists and technicians, and we're all up on, the latest materials and the latest techniques and the latest processes, that are coming up. I mean, these are cutting edge guys. There's nothing I can really put my finger on as far as a emerging tech tool. I think maybe where J. Scott for real is going with this is sort of the combination of digital and practical makeup. That's just me kind of thinking. The digital and the practical, ideally, there's a marriage between the two, because makeup is additive.
Of course.
It's like anytime you put a makeup on, it's increasing size, it's increasing bulk. You can design a makeup to look like it's diminishing bulk. Like a zombie appliance, for example. You bring out the cheekbones, bring out the brow bone, jawbone, and by comparison, everything else is, sunken in. That's not what is actually happening. What you're doing is you're increasing bulk on those areas that you bring forward.
Makes sense.
Say, like a Voldemort. Like, say Voldemort, right?
Yeah.
When you're missing his nose. How do you do that in the real world? Well, you really can't. You can try to tape somebody's nose down. That's going to get incredibly uncomfortable after a couple of minutes. So you do the makeup around the area that then digitally will be removed. Somebody with half their head gone. That combination of practical and digital is, I think, where you want to land as an artist. Because there's a huge pendulum swing. It's like, back, in the 80s, early 90s, it was all practical. And then we swung to, primarily digital. What was it, American Werewolf in Paris? Ugh. And then, the pendulum swing is gradually coming back where it's now, people are appreciating the practical more, and directors are appreciating the practical more, because it's infinitely more impressive to come walking out on set dressed up like, the Hellboy Beast of the Apocalypse.
Of course.
Than, David Harbour in a, leotard with dots on
suit.
it. And it gives your other actor something to play off of. Sure. You can light him in the environment that he's supposed to be in.
I remember that time when everyone's just like, oh, I'm so sick of all this overblown CGI, and now there seems to be more of a marriage happening between the two.
Exactly.
And you don't seem opposed against that. You see?
No.
I mean,
it's its own art form, and maybe this was true a few years back. Is I would sit in meetings where the digital folks would be hungry to get characters or to get sequences and just marginalize the practical. But I think if you, and this goes to all of you filmmakers out there, all of you, up and coming filmmakers, get as much in camera as possible, because you can always go back, digitally augment, or, digitally correct, or whatever it is. I mean, I would rather get an entire character in camera that maybe has a tear in the shoulder, go back and fix that, as opposed to completely create the character from scratch digitally, without the time or the money to do it, and wind up looking like a cartoon. You know what I mean? Because I've seen a lot of digital. It just looks like friggin' cartoons. And it's like, no matter how good the movie is, it's like
it's distracting.
Yeah, I'm out of it. It's like, what am I watching here? And you see something practical, it exists in the real world, and there's something about that, even if it doesn't look as polished or as slick.
Even if it's makeup, you're still like, it's still there's a sense of realism. That Baba Yaga, by the way, I haven't mentioned that to you personally, but that Baba Yaga that's actually a thing I'm hearing a lot of people talk about. On a film like Hellboy, there's a lot of sort of organizational stuff that I end up having to do. Getting my hands in the clay in the shop is much more difficult than on a smaller show. Certainly when I'm on set, I'll get my hands in the application and stuff. But Baba Yaga was the character that I sculpted myself. That's the one that because it shot at the end of the schedule. We shot in Bulgaria, so I had, I would do the Hellboy makeup in the morning, and Heather Mages, who helped me with that makeup, she would watch David on set. Oh, I met her.
And I would, I would go back and I would sculpt Baba Yaga with the help of Josh McCarran, who was with me. He sculpted the hands, which are friggin' beautiful.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
I was like very. Troy James did a great job. In found him on the internet. Cast
Oh,
him
you
off
just,
of the internet.
that's how you
Yeah,
cast
it
it
was
off
like,
the internet?
again, Twisty Troy. You know, I was like, that guy's amazing. It's like, I want him to play Baba Yaga. Unfortunately, you know, the producers gave me a lot of freedom on Hellboy.
Can I play Abe Sapien?
Sure.
Thanks, Joel.
Yeah,
you heard it
let's
here.
hope that
Big casting
kind of
announcement
stuff
right here. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I cast Troy as Baba Yaga and then myself
That's
as
crazy.
Klaus Werner von Krupt.
You should have just cast yourself as Hellboy.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, might as well just go all out.
applying makeup to yourself is not fun.
Would you do makeup for any of our sketches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sketches? What are you talking about? You do sketches like skits?
Joel's a huge fan of the channel.
What do you do? It's like, what is this, like a puppet show?
Like short film sketches. Yeah. This is like a puppet show. You know, usually you get fan questions.
That's two. Two questions.
Don't take 15 minutes
So
to do
far.
2 questions. Pablo Fernandez. What was the biggest problem he had while working with Davy Jones and his crew?
Well, obviously, talking about Pirates 2 and 3. Davy Jones is digital, entirely digital.
So you had no problems.
Bootstrap Bill, however, is entirely practical.
Oh, cool.
And that's
Skarsgård
that's
actor,
still
yeah?
one of my favorite all-time makeups
Yeah?
I've been involved in. Answering Pablo's question, ideally, I think that it would have been cool to do more of the Davy Jones crew as practical makeups,
Yeah,
but
that would have been crazy.
it would have been crazy. And truthfully, at that time,
Probably not
doing
possible.
Bootstrap, because he undergoes 6 different stages,
Mm-hmm.
sort of a transformation, like a degenerative transformation as he gets absorbed into the Flying Dutchman. That was a lot of work.
Of course.
That was a lot of work. Designed by Crash McCreary, beautiful illustrator and conceptual designer. Worked for Stan Winston for, a lot of his career. Now works, I think, mostly with Gore, designed Rango and
Ringo.
he's just an amazing designer. So to be able to take his illustrations and translate them on the Stellan, it was a blast.
Can I do my my terrible Johnny
Did
Depp
you
impression
just
for
do
you?
it?
Yeah, I'll do my terrible Johnny Depp for you. All right? You haven't heard it yet, right?
No,
It made waves on the
is this
internet.
part
Joel.
of the skits that you do?
Yeah. Can you put me in Johnny Depp makeup? All right, ready? I'll do one line for you. This is how I always imagine Johnny Depp in interviews.
Building it up.
Yeah, when I see Johnny Depp in interviews, it always seems like he's gonna say something really deep, but then he doesn't. So here it goes. When I first read the screenplay for Rango, halfway through the script, I realized I'm playing a lizard, and from there the character just sort of evolved. Yeah, that's about it, Joel.
Very good. All right.
Abe Sapien. I've been cast, people. You hear that?
You're not going to play it like that, are you?
No, that's exactly how I'll do it. Yeah.
All right, next.
I warned Joel there would be a few awkward moments just for him today.
But you're injecting those on purpose. Because it wasn't awkward up until that.
I know. It's like 30 minutes into this. I'm like, I need something awkward to be on camera here. Good transition with cringe gaming. How is the harsh reality for all people who want to get jobs in the film industry, and how does race or ethnicity factor into that? Like, say, if an Indian wants to act or do makeup jobs, does that affect? I feel like you're
No.
behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean,
especially
we're
and I met some of your people who you currently work with in a wide variety of ethnicities.
Yeah, exactly. We're not looking at race or ethnicity, and we're not looking for diplomas or degrees.
Right.
Because this is a visual medium. What I do is a visual medium. We're looking at portfolios.
Of course.
For me, that doesn't factor into my hiring process whatsoever. The only advice that I could give would be just to practice your art. Practice your techniques, hone your skills, and that's what we look at. Because ultimately we're not the ones up on screen unless you cast yourself as Klaus Werner von Krupp, which I did. Yeah, it doesn't factor at all.
Well, I mean, if I were to answer this, I would say be white. Okay, cringe gaming, be white. I think Joel will back me up on this one. This is when I get a text from Joel later. Cut that joke out. I don't want to be next to you.
Fade out. now.
Fade it out.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't
factor at all.
matter. It
It's like,
doesn't matter.
I'll cast people based on, and if I'm able to cast people based on their abilities, and same with the hiring process in the shop. It's all based on ability.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, if someone in your shop watches a genuine one, someone in your shop does watch the channel.
Who?
Ooh, that makes me look
it's
bad that
not
I
me.
don't remember his name. I know it's not you. Yeah.
I watch the stuff that you send me.
Yeah, I'm gonna just send you every video now.
Oh, Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny Psycho.
Johnny
Yeah.
Psycho is his name.
Yeah.
That's the one guy who
Johnny
watches this
Psycho.
channel.
Yeah. Fucking love Johnny.
Johnny Psycho. All right,
Yeah.
we got one more question. Rephrasing Funme's question. What's something that you've sort of had to struggle with, but that you feel like ended up being one of your proudest accomplishments, your best work?
That's really hard to answer because I think that if you don't struggle with each project and it comes too easily, it's almost not worth it.
Oh,
You know what I
interesting.
mean? It's
Okay.
like, and that goes
So you need
for
the
like,
challenge.
Yeah, that goes for
Okay.
like personal projects as well. It's like if I sit down in front, and let's say I sit down in front of a live cast and I'm going to sculpt something, like I just sculpted this Ch.U.D character for, for a trade show. If it comes too easy, sometimes I just won't finish it. You know, if like the shapes, it emerges too quickly. There's something about struggling with the clay, struggling with the forms and the character of the piece that when you find it, it's infinitely more rewarding.
Do you ever get
It's
anxiety
really-
in that process?
Always.
Yeah,
always. Because
okay.
when I can't find it, I'm like,
So you,
like
you
I
kind of
suck
feed
at
off the
this.
work.
It's like it's like what should I do? And I'll put it aside and I'll start something else. But it's always like, it's like over here staring at me, and I'm like, I got to get back to it and find it. And until I find it, I'm very unsettled.
Have you ever felt like leaving a project?
Like something I've been
Something you've been attached to. And then you
No,
just
the
can't
only
figure it out.
the only times that I've had to leave projects was when, I usually get contracted for something, and then sometimes things go longer than they were supposed to, and I'm committed to something else. Something else gets pushed up. It's like then it's an unfortunate thing, but hopefully you've got a team around you. And since I'm typically the department head, I'll have like my key take over or whatever, finish up this while I start on that. Yeah, I don't like to finish or to leave things unfinished.
I don't like to finish my
I don't like
project.
to finish
I don't like
anything.
to finish all my work.
Truthfully, no, actually, that's true. I don't like to finish anything. I wish that there's been so many jobs that I wish could have just kept going. I mean, Hellboy was one of those. That I wish could have just kept going and going and going because I was having so much fun. I mean, Hellboy, it's like that's something that I'd wanted to do, like make monsters. It's
Yeah.
like, that's why I got into this business. Star Trek Beyond. That's why I got into this business. Pirates, whatever, because I want to make monsters. I want to create characters.
Of course.
And then when it's over, it's like it leaves you kind of, searching for something to do. Like I just mentioned, I finished this Ch.U.D character, and now I went to the shop today to drop some stuff off before I came over here. And there's really nothing on my plate that's pressing right now. I've got these reshoots coming up, but there's not a whole lot for me to build.
I'll send you concept art for our puppets show that we have here.
Yeah,
on
your
Real Reach.
sock puppet show.
Yeah,
I love sock puppets. That's why when I came in, I was like, you got to write a Ch.U.D movie we can make for like 20 grand.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because I've got all the fucking stuff. Can I swear on this channel?
You can now.
Since I don't watch it, I'm not sure.
You can now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all the stuff. It's like, I think it'd be, I don't know why they haven't made Ch.U.D again.
Well, you haven't directed it. That's why.
Well, I mean, I don't even need to direct it. I just want to, it's like,
You just want to make
I
it.
just want to make Ch.U.Ds. Right? So why not?
That's when the monster came
Why
out of
not?
Joel right there.
Do like a Kickstarter thing. It's like people have made movies for less than, what, a couple $100 grand? How
Yeah.
much can you get from those Kickstarters? Like 100 grand, something like that?
I'm sure.
Listen,
Godzilla
if
was
anybody
100 grand.
in the Reject Nation wants to do a Kickstarter program to make a Ch.U.D movie, I don't know who's got the rights to Ch.U.D. John, can you look that up real quick, like?
John, do your job. Go on Google.
Wants to make a Ch.U.D movie. I've already got the Ch.U.D. I'll send you a picture and you can put it up right now, like at this point in the video after you
All
edit
right,
it.
yeah. Send
But
it to me right
leave
away.
this part in where I'm doing this.
Sure.
Don't cut that out. I
That's
don't
good.
think you should really cut out any of this except for the part where you do your Johnny Depp.
No.
And then you your Just Be White.
Those
I
are the
think
best
those are
parts of the
the
video.
parts you should cut
I
out.
think those should be the opening of this video.
How about we call it something other than Ch.U.D?
Oh, you're looking at me for this answer, right?
Because it came out really cool. It came out cool. It's done. We've got a Chud.
We can work on it.
We can just make more Chuds.
we can
Okay,
make it
anyway.
happen. I'll play
I
Chud.
hope I didn't answer your question.
Yes.
I think I did. Well, my best work, I think, is I don't know what it is. It depends what kind of work we're talking about. If it's realism, if it's fantasy, if it's monster, if it's gore.
John, you got an answer?
Ch.U.D was owned by New World Pictures before distributed by
Yeah.
New World Pictures, which has now become Disney Fox.
Hey?
It's been released by Arrow the most recently, back in 2016, so maybe Arrow Video may have the rights.
Yeah, we should contact them. Are they fans of the channel?
Are they? Almost everyone you've worked with is a big fan of this channel.
Everybody I have and will yet work with is a fan of
Is
the
a fan of the Real Rejects right here. They make a.
Let me ask you some questions. What made you decide to to start your own YouTube channel?
To land interviews with makeup effects artists.
No, that's not true. Were you sitting around one day and you're like, yeah, I'm sick of
What?
watching stuff. I'd rather watch myself.
I'd rather watch myself watch more stuff right now. Yeah. Well, actually, I've always been a passion for writing, and I did do like a lot of improv and acting. Then eventually, what I
That was a Johnny Depp impersonation
it's the same one I've been doing for 12 years now.
since Rango came back.
I actually got into like network marketing doing that. Learned a lot about business, and then eventually I was just working at a doctor's office. I didn't really watch YouTube. People had always been like, "You should review movies, Greg. You should review movies. You should review movies," because I love talking film. So in the beginning, we had started this up, John and I, but he was in college at the time. So then I had to take a lot of this in my own hands, and then for a few years we were doing this, and I originally did it because I wanted to do something film related. I wanted to do something where I can put some knowledge out there. This is what my real passion is in film. So as much as I love commenting on movies and stuff, and I don't really do interviews, I think you can see why I don't.
No, you're
lot
doing
of-
good.
a lot of
I mean,
awkwardness.
you're relying a lot on the people that are writing in. They're kind of
Yeah, they made up 45 minutes of this.
yeah. I mean, it's because I've been thinking about then you've got like
You guys gonna start your own YouTube channel?
Instagram and-
Yeah.
I mean, in Facebook and back, going way back, it was like MySpace and whatever.
Right,
It's like
right.
Now it's because isn't there like a pay version of that? Like,
yeah,
they're making their own content.
They call the YouTube Premium.
Yeah,
where
but like
they're producing their own projects. That is officially ending, I hear, which is
wow.
which is a bummer because I like some of their content. Joel, I'm gonna get you out of here just on time. I said 2. It is 2:21.
Perfect.
Well, I'm glad you finally feel like you can say you've made it in Hollywood now that you're here in this Sherman Oaks apartment.
Can't wait to see the puppet shows.
Yeah.
And whatever kind of skits you guys want to put on.
I might expect all my
Anxiously
boxes.
awaiting that.
Move everything out of here by next week before you go back to working on the Jungle Cruise movie, please.
Absolutely.
You guys can subscribe to the Real Rejects. Thank you for
could.
being here.
You could.
You could.
You could do
Or you
that.
could do something better with your life. Click notification bells. Joel.
As always, Reject Nation, we appreciate you tuning in and just some great questions.
Yeah.
See, I have seen some of it.
You've seen some of
How
it.
do you sign off?
I don't. I need a signature sign off.
Oh, yeah. All right. This is still in its early phase. How long have you been doing this?
4.5, 5 years.
4.5, 5 years. We don't have a sign off yet.
I don't believe in catchphrases or how you doing.
So good at it. All right. Well,
Do you want people to follow you anywhere? Or you just want them to go check out all these, independent films that you have coming out this year?
oh, follow me? I don't really do a lot of that stuff. What I want.
Do you need to? Do you need to?
I don't know.
I feel like you're doing
don't
fine
know.
right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it gets Ch.U.D funded, then yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I do need to.
Actually, that might be your ticket into getting funded. We have talked for an hour. This is gonna be trimmed down.
Yeah. I thought you said it was a two-parter. I don't think any of it, except for the stuff I mentioned earlier, should be.
So I've managed to make Joel at times feel slightly awkward. I've managed to get him
Just
to
2
open up
times.
just 2 times. And I've managed to get him confused on when I'm being sincere and sarcastic throughout this video.
I'm not confused.
We'll make this happen.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm looking
All right,
forward to your
Reject
drum off
Nation.
with Chad Smith and Will Ferrell. See you guys. Good. That fun? Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.